Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are here to talk to you about the journey with Dubai Offroaders. We get this question very often, how our courses are designed, how the hierarchy of our courses are designed, what is the objective of individual courses, and why should we do the courses. I will start by the bigger picture. Our bigger picture is that we want to take as many people as we can to Liva, for them to experience absolute wilderness. Because in our opinion, when you experience absolute wilderness, something within us changes and we get more grounded, we get more relaxed. And when we come back to our daily lives, our usual daily lives, we're able to perform better and be better as humans. And this is why we go to the desert. Lately, what has been happening is off-roading has become a bit of a ego measure where everybody's trying to show the other person how they are better than them. We are not of that idea. So we don't feel the need to show anyone we are better than anyone, or we don't like to compete among our group, our customers. We don't make them feel bad for being at an initial stage of learning. And even our instructors and marshals who have been off-roading for, let's say, 2 or 3 years, and they're really good, their main focus is learning. And why their main focus is learning is because they have understood that there is a lot to learn. So in off-roading, there is a lot to learn. There is a certain rhythm that the dunes follow. If you understand the rhythm and you're able to communicate with the dunes, now I know that it sounds very philosophical, not so practical. At the same time, any sport that you do with nature, if you're skiing, if you're surfing, you're communicating with the waves. You're understanding the waves, you're understanding the snow, the slope. And that's the only way you can be truly successful. If you fight nature, it doesn't work. This is what we really teach in our courses. And how our courses are structured is that the initial bit, so our beginner and intermediate courses are conducted by instructors who are better with theoretical approach, and they like to hold the hand of the customer. They like to communicate on the radio often. They like to tell them how to do a maneuver perfectly and repeat the process, etc. When you start with the night course, that's when we bring in the feel. So now we take the theory and we start applying it in real life at a higher level. And our night and advance is taught by a proper Bedouin who has literally spent his entire life in the desert driving and has experienced all the possible dangers and problems that you can face in the desert. Let's say 99% problems that you can face in the desert, he has faced them and solved them through hard work, through time, through a lot of effort, so that you don't have to. Let's go step by step on our courses. Our first course is a beginner course. It's self-explanatory. We teach you how everything in your car works, how to deflate tires, how to engage the 4x4, how to balance on the ridge. We get this question a lot, that is the first session only theory? No, the first session is not only theory. Within the first 20 minutes of reaching your first session, you will be balancing on the ridge. That's how the course is designed. It's a 3-session course. First session, you learn to balance on the ridge, you learn to join the ridge, you learn to manage gravity. Second, you understand the fluid motion of off-road driving. You get more comfortable with the higher speeds, taller dunes. Third is driving in a convoy, because in any general off-roading situation, you will be driving in a convoy. So we teach you how to communicate on the radio effectively, how to keep ample distance, how to stop at the right point. This is very important that we teach how to stop at the right point, because what generally happens is when there's a refusal, other people in other groups, they tend to overtake because they don't know where to stop. We teach you how to find a flat spot where you can safely stop and continue from there. Second is our intermediate course. Now, this is where things get interesting. So I talked about Liva. Our intermediate session 2 happens in Suehan. And the way these courses are designed is the first session starts in Khudra, and you start moving inland. So beginner session 1 is in Khudra, beginner session 2 is in Markhab, intermediate session 1 is in Fakha, and intermediate session 2 is in Suehan. Because we are not just changing the level of the drive, we're not just changing the size of the dunes, we're changing also the gradient of the sand for you to acclimatize gradually to a thicker sand grain. Because as you go more and more inland, the sand grain becomes thicker and the air pockets between the sand grain are more. And that's why it gives way much sooner. Third is the night. in night, you don't need any additional lights because the whole point is to drive with your headlights and learn how to do that safely. This not just teaches you how to drive in the night correctly, but it strengthens your instincts for day driving as well. Because what you tend to do is when you reach the intermediate level, you tend to sometimes fight gravity. It's normal. You have understood, okay, I can get away with this much. When you do night, you can't see anything on your side. So as soon as you slide, you turn down. And that strengthens your main instinct that you need to turn down. Go with gravity. Then we have the advanced masterclass, which is much taller dunes in Sohan. You do much faster pace, and that's why the night really helps you in advanced masterclass, because in the advanced masterclass, you're going at speeds where you cannot think, right? So if you make a mistake, you have to turn down by instinct. You should not be in a situation where you're thinking that I need to turn down, because it takes that 1 millisecond for things to go wrong. Then we have the advanced plus, where Nick, he teaches us, he goes back to the basics. So how to balance on the ridge. Because in beginner sessions, you learn how to balance on the ridge. Why we teach you how to balance on the ridge is because that's the safest part to drive on, even if it's counterintuitive. That's where camels walk. Obviously, the ridges in beginner course are much smaller. In advanced plus, they're much higher. The pace is much higher. And at this point, we start teaching you how to take the lead. So how to understand why you're doing what you're doing. This actually starts within the intermediate course where you go for a solo expedition and come back. But in Advanced Plus, this is really solidified, because after Advanced Plus, the options that you have are your lead and navigation, recovery, or the Elite. Elite is the culmination of everything. Everything we know that we've learned in the last 20 years, we've brought it together. It has knowing everything about your car, the dimensions of your car, how it turns in tight dunes, how does it behave when you hit a ditch, how much power do you need, when can you use for low, etc. It teaches you recovery, it teaches you the topography, it works on your stamina because you have to drive for a very long distance. There's an advanced night drive, there's lead and navigation, it covers everything. And then you graduate with a drive in Liva or Al Khwa. This is specifically how our courses are structured. The course material is structured, and the adjacent instructors who conduct the courses, they match what you need at what point. And this is something that one of our students actually recently said, and that really resonated with me. So that's why I thought it would be a good point to share with you. As always, if you have any questions, you can always let us know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to our channel and liking this video. Thanks for tuning in.